right. All right. It's your boy Tim Biz. All right, man. All right. So we about to have a discussion because it appears that David Benavidez has decided to move up to 175 and he's going to take on Alexander Boslik with a G. But nevertheless, remember him. That's the dude that got his ass beat so bad by Arthur Benavidez to where basically he retired for a few years, but he came back out of retirement. That's bad. When you suffer your first loss and you get your ass beat so bad to where you decide to retire for a couple of years, that just goes to show you the damage that Arthur Benavidez does to you when he fights you. But nevertheless, David Benavidez, I think it's a smart move for him because at the end of the day, he cannot continue to put his career on hold for Canelo Alvarez as Canelo Alvarez decides what century he may want to get in the ring with David Benavidez. And it was revealed that, which I'll do a video about it, it was revealed that, according to reports, that Canelo was offered up to $55 million guaranteed to fight David Benavidez, which that would have been a bigger fight, which I think could have helped get the PBC out of trouble. And basically, when they do the numbers and try to see could they get some upfront money from Amazon, they could have used this fight as a measuring stick, like, hey, this is the numbers that we did, this is how much we generated in profit. So if you give us some upfront money, this is how much we can make together, in some kind of deal. And I think this is what the Amazon deal is all about, a test run. That's why they didn't give the, what I'm saying, the PBC no upfront money. So at the end of the day, some people will look at it as, this is, payback for Al Heyman on basically how he did dirty business. Okay, and also we're going to talk about a potential fight with Frank Martin versus Tank that is supposed to take place in June. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, here we go again. So basically, if this fight happens in June, it will be over a year since we last saw Tank in the ring. Not a good look due to the fact that Tank is pushing 30. Tank will be 30 years old this year. I don't know when is Tank's birthday. I don't really be keeping track of stuff like this. But at the end of the day, you just got to call it what it is. If in fact Canelo did this, which it looked like in all likely he has, because he's shown a long history of avoiding David Benavidez basically at all costs. I keep trying to tell you, it is something that Canelo sees in David Benavidez that bothers him to the point to where he doesn't want to get in the ring with him. And it looks like to me that Canelo isn't confident or so sure that he can beat David Benavidez. Like at the end of the day, he already know he could beat the Charlo brothers because one, he have to worry about it if either one of them will show up to the fight sober. At the end of the day, this is what Canelo's been doing. He just doesn't want to fight the dude. So basically, David Benavidez is like, okay, he doesn't want to fight me. I'm not going to keep waiting for this dude to decide when and if he wants to fight me. I've been trying to fight this dude for the last 4 years to no avail. I haven't been successful to secure a fight with him. So, at the end of the day, Canelo is looking real bad right now. So when it comes time to evaluate Canelo's career and where you rank him as an all-time great as far as boxing in general goes, or as one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time, you can't put Canelo up there with guys like Marquez and Eric Morales, Salvador Sanchez, Ricardo Lopez, those type of dudes, because, even Julio Cesar Chavez, even though I thought Julio Cesar Chavez was overrated, even, to a certain degree, Oscar De La Hoya, you have to put all those guys ahead of Canelo because Canelo, like I keep saying, where do people get this myth that Canelo always fought the best guys out there? And I used to just laugh when I see people, giving me interviews, I would just be like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like I said, if you look at Canelo's resume, as I keep saying, he's never fought the best guy available. He's never done that. He's never said, give me the best guy in each division. And it was just like, damn. It was like you almost would have to get this dude to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, for real. What was it going to take for him to fight David Benavidez, to drag him into the ring, put him in handcuffs, and take the handcuffs off until you know what I'm saying? Until David Benavidez got in the ring and everybody was seated, because that what it looked like. And at the end of the day, a lot of people just don't want to call it what it is. Canelo was just looking like a coward. And that's all it come down to. And he's done exactly what Floyd Mayweather did. You know? And you know what Floyd Mayweather did when he became, Floyd Money Mayweather. So he was very calculated and selective on who he chose to get in the ring with. But Canelo was just looking even worse. Some of the dudes that Canelo's been fighting ain't even former champions. And there were fights that nobody asked for. And then Canelo has dragged people up 1 to 2 weight classes. From Josito Lopez to Charlo, to Jamel Charlo. Nobody believed that Jamel Charlo was going to win that fight. Nobody. And Jamal Charlo isn't going to win. He'll probably either get the hell beat out of him for 12 rounds. He'll get knocked down a couple of times, and then that'll be it. But, Canelo is going to, at least bail him out of financial debt, because keep in mind, his wife was talking about they was on the verge of losing a house and all this kind of stuff. And it's to the point to where, Charlo is begging people, for money to come, do some commentary for him and all that kind of stuff. So you just think it to yourself, okay, what is going on? So that's just basically the bottom line. Canelo just a dude he don't want at this point. He don't even want to take. He don't want to take no risks. Like I said, when was the last time Canelo was in a risky fight? And I think he underestimated Bibble, and I guess Bibble didn't get the memo that he was supposed to go in there and lay down for Canelo, allegedly. Because Bibble showed up to fight and he beat the hell out of Canelo. And like I said before, I know all 3 of the judges had Canelo winning at least 5 rounds. But like I said, you can make an argument that Canelo won, 3 rounds in that fight. And you would be generous if you said he won 4. He definitely didn't win 5 rounds in that fight. I mean, he got pretty much dominated in that fight. It was a clear-cut win for Bibble. I mean, it was so clear cut. It was like, I don't see how anybody could sit up there and try to make an argument that Canelo, if he would have got the nod, that fight wouldn't have been a robbery. He got beat every step of the way. And I know some of these Canelo fans don't want to hear it, but he got beat down. He got the hell beat out of him. And that's just it. So once again, what happens next? And one of these days, these reporters are going to have the fortitude, the testosterone, to ask Canelo, why didn't you fight David Benavidez? Why all the excuses? Because you already been hearing that, from the grapevine, that they want him to fight Jaime Munguia because they feel it would be more financially successful than him fighting, Jamal Charlo. Because listen, quiet as kept, the Jamel Charlo fight was a flop. Didn't sell very well as far as tickets go, didn't have a good gate, and didn't do very well on pay-per-view despite what the numbers say. Now, I know a lot of people love to keep track of what Devin Haney's pay-per-view numbers is, but at the end of the day, the fight wasn't financially and as far as pay-per-view sales go, successful. That's just the bottom line, and people just gonna have to accept it and stop making excuses. That's just the truth. It was a disappointment, and that's why Al is begging him pretty much to fight Jaime Munguia, but Canelo is gonna fight who he wants to fight. He feel like Charlo is a more easier fight for him versus Jaime Munguia. Even though a Jaime Munguia fight would be more successful in all likelihood due to the fact that it would be on Cinco de Mayo weekend and it would be Mexican versus Mexican. So they feel like that money that they would get from the Mexican audience would help the fight succeed. Now, somebody like me, well, somebody like me, would I be interested in it? I mean, it ain't, you know what I'm saying? It ain't something that I fancy, as they say, but it would be okay. But once again, even Jaime Munguia would be moving up. And this would be Canelo once again, you know, moving people up in weight. Now, I think as far as action go, it would be a good fight. But, there's a lot of things that Jaime Munguia lacks as far as defense goes. And I think at the end of the day, I think his style is more suitable for Canelo. And it would be a lot of opportunity for Canelo to counter him, slip him and counter him. So it would be his style is more suiting to Canelo, but at the end of the day, Canelo said, "Hey, I don't really want to fight any more Mexicans. I have no idea what the hell that means, but that's he feel like Charlo pretty much is a lick. Charlo got all these issues outside of boxing, so he figured, hey, I'll take full advantage of it, and then I know Charlo will do whatever I ask him to do to make the fight. If I tell Charlo he can't throw a right till like the third round, he'll do it because that's how desperate he is and how thirsty he'd be for the fight. So, that's why Canelo favors Charlo over Jaime Munguia. And once again, this proves what I've been saying about Al Heyman. Keep in mind, Charlo and them are PBC fighters, but he willing to finally cross the side of the street to work with Golden Boy. Something that and it just says a lot about Al Heyman. He could have been doing this. So now that he's desperate, and that the PBC is hanging, you know what I'm saying, is basically hanging on the edge. He like, okay, now you want to do cross promotional fights where you could have been doing that on a consistent basis. Now that you're desperate and that the PBC is hanging by a string, halfway in the toilet ready to get flushed, or in the toilet ready to get flushed, now all of a sudden you want to work with these outside companies. But you could have been doing this, but you thought you could circumvent. You thought you had a way to get around this kind of stuff. And now at the end of the day, now you need these other promotional companies. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make fights with Top Rank. Try to do more fights with Top Rank during this tenure with Amazon. Because that's how bad it is for them. That's how bad it is for them. Like I said before, the money ain't there. The money ain't there. And this is why Tank has to keep his name out there by always tweeting and erasing tweets. Now, as far as Tank versus Frank Martin goes, whatever. This is probably one of the main reasons why they talk Frank out of taking the Shakur Stevenson fight. Now, let's see. I wonder how much Frank Martin is going to get paid for this fight. I wonder if he going to get that extra that he asked for, which basically I know for a fact doesn't matter what he tells people that he does interviews with, that they didn't want to pay him enough. At the end of the day, he was offered $1.3 million when it was all said and done. Do you think he gonna get this much for Tank? Do you think they gonna match that? I mean, keep it real. If Al Heyman don't have the money for Bud versus Errol Spence 2, what makes you think that he just gonna fork over 1.3 to Frank Martin? I know they got something in the works that he gonna keep in mind. Keep in mind, you guys, they have those NDAs where they can't really go into deep detail. But like I said, I know exactly what happened with Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson not fighting. I'll talk to the people myself. Okay. So we just gonna have to see. But I find it funny, that Tank loves to sit up there and talk about, Devin Haney's ticket sales and Leonard Ellaby, aka Sir Nose, is talking about Devin Haney's pay-per-view sales and whatnot. Okay, so when was Frank Martin? When was Frank Martin on pay-per-view? Frank Martin has yet to fight at Arena. So basically, Tank is going backwards. Yeah, as far as the talent goes, Frank Martin is a good fight for Tank on paper, but he's still relatively unknown. And I thought Tank was looking for only big fight. Now, let's see how well this sells. I think the fight itself will sell out, but as far as pay-per-view go, this fight is probably gonna go double wood. Fight is gonna go double wood, and I'm just keeping it a buck. Fight is gonna go double wood, but I know that they'll inflate the numbers. David Benavidez, the David Benavidez Voslik fight. The winner of that fight is supposed to get the winner of Bibble and Arthur Benavidez. I don't know if David Benavidez want to go into a fight directly with Arthur Benavidez with one fight at light heavyweight, because that is just going to be a tall task. Arthur Benavidez is a monstrous puncher, and like I said before, everything changes when Arthur Benavidez starts to land punches. Me myself, I think he's going to ice Bibble. I don't think Bibble has the power to keep Benavidez off of him. And as I said before, Bibble isn't anything that Benavidez hasn't seen before. So I don't know why everybody think Bibble is just going to go in there and just give him a boxing lesson. Bibble isn't the hardest puncher that Benavidez has fought. And he isn't the most skillful fighter that Benavidez has fought, because I thought Boslik was a more skillful fighter than Bibble. You can make an argument that Yard is probably one of the hardest punchers. I mean, and then as far as overall skills go, Marcus Brown. He's beat every type of fighter you could think of. He's beat the slick fighter. He's beat the boxer puncher. He's beat the puncher boxer. So like I said before, what does Bibble pose to Arthur Benavidez that he hasn't seen before? And I keep saying that. What is he going to do that nobody else, can't do or tried to do? I just think at the end of the day, I just think he might listen. When I say either Arthur Benavidez is going to have to get old overnight, or either Arthur Benavidez gets old overnight, or Bibble. When I say Bibble has to fight the perfect, when I say he has to fight the perfect fight to win, that's what I mean. But I just think the moment he gets hit, I think it's going to all fall apart. I'm not making a prediction, but in all likelihood, Arthur Benavidez has a 100% knockout ratio. And it's a reason why they was trying to prolong this fight, because this fight could have took place last year, or a couple of years ago. So at the end of the day, Bibble's team prolonged this fight. They were hollering about money and everything else. So That's why this fight didn't happen. But like I said before, I don't see anything different. I don't see anything different with Bibble that nobody else has been able to do. I think in all likelihood, I think I think Bibble was just gonna be victim number 21. And I think Arthur Benavidez continues his 100% knockout ratio. You know, I had heard BFBT talking about it. He said he don't even think this fight is gonna go 8 rounds. I wouldn't be surprised. Like these type of fights, this is when you see the best Arthur Benavidez. You've seen what he did to Smith. He demolished Smith. I mean, he demolished him, beat him down, beat him down. He may not even be the same after this. They were talking about he was considering retirement. So, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, I just find it laughable now in this situation with Tank, because Tank was talking all this stuff. So now Tank is fighting the ballroom fighter. He's fighting the conference room fighter. You have to really look at this. I know people gonna say, yeah, well, Frank Martin is this. Frank Martin has never fought for a title. Do not sit up there and tell me that Frank Martin has a better resume than Shakur Stevenson. I mean, at the end of the day, we can make an argument about the Ryan Garcia fight, that whether Ryan Garcia really deserved a fight versus Tank. But at the end of the day, they didn't have no problem giving Ryan Garcia what he asked for. But then when Devin Haney asked for the same similar deal, then all of a sudden, then they was talking about, nobody tells Tank what to do and all that stuff. But that's one of the reasons that I have the issue that I have with the PBC and the people aligned with them. So, they all say they can do this with Devin Haney until they actually get in the ring with Devin Haney, So, Frank Martin didn't even want to fight Shakur Stevenson. Like I said, he let them talk him out of a life-changing payday. Frank Martin didn't even get 200 grand for his last fight, and I looked it up. And the fight before that, he only got 75 grand. So I don't know where he can get off acted like 1.3 wasn't enough for him. But like I said before, they have these people that they align themselves with, and they put out information, and then they put it back out to us and trying to get you to believe this is what really happened. But I know what happened. Nothing against Frank Martin, but I know what happened. He was offered the biggest payday of his career. He was set to make like at least maybe 4 times what he was getting a fight. And, he walked away from it. Pulled out of the fight, and like less than a full-fledged week, pulled out of the fight. So that's on him. And then once again, well, it'll be a year since we last saw Frank Martin. So once again, Frank Martin will be coming off a long layoff. Tank will be coming off a long layoff. Y'all don't find nothing strange with that? You don't find nothing strange with that. And see, that's the problem. You have a lot of people that make these videos putting out a bunch of baloney. You got these guys that be putting out a bunch of baloney, trying to protect their favorite guy. But at the end of the day, I'm not out here trying to protect nobody, because I know what's happening. I'm not trying to protect Canelo. Canelo is blatantly and shameful. When I say Canelo is blatantly and shamefully ducking David Benavidez. Shameful.
I mean, he acting like I mean, for real. I mean, he is just shamefully ducking David Benavidez, and you can't get out of this. You can't talk your way. Canelo fans cannot talk their way out of this. Oh, I know. Well, I could put it to you this way: I almost can guarantee you, Frank Martin ain't about to get 1.3 to fight Tank. Like I said before, now that PBC got to pay out of pocket, he shouldn't have listened to Al. He should have did. He should have did what Steve Fulton did. He was like, "Man, I'm taking this three million and some change to fight any new, even though like you ain't talking me out of this payday. You ain't talking me. I'm taking this. I'm taking this $3 million ass whipping." So there you have it. But I'll be back with more of you guys. So about to go eat, but I'll be back with more. Appreciate you guys.